This is On the Sidelines with Fox 13.
All right, welcome back into the On the Sidelines podcast. I'm Ethan McReynolds. Let me get that out of the way first. Joined as always by my co-host, partner in crime, D-Jack Dante Jackson, and our special guest for today, the do-it-all here at Fox 13 News, Matthew Smith, anchoring the news, doing an environment show, anchoring our sports show. Now you're doing the sports podcast. You are everywhere, my friend. Thanks for stopping by.
Just wanted to get involved. You guys look like you're having too much fun.
We are, and we're gonna have even more fun now that you're here. We're excited to get your take. We got a lot planned for today.
Yes.
The Storm, ginormous win the other day, and another big game later today. We're also going to hear from head coach Noel Quinn about how massive their win against Las Vegas Aces was. The Mariners finishing what I would call a successful road trip, but ending on sort of a sour note against the Houston Astros. We're going to talk about that. The Sounders, they've been playing some really great soccer. We're going to give them some love. And then we got some what's trending. We're going to talk about flag football players wanting to, sort of keep the NFL players out. We're gonna get some takes on that. And then top 5 dead or alive, our most hated sports teams, so stick around from that. And Matt's from Detroit, the Detroit area, so he's got sort of some different takes. It's going to be fun to get your take on that. But we start with the Storm. I mean, Jewel Lloyd's back in town. The Aces are, one of the clear-cut title contenders with the reigning MVP in Asia Wilson. And the Seattle Storm made them look like, like they just had the number 1 overall pick last year. Like just one of those teams at the bottom. Beat them by 20, hit the century mark. D-Jack, what'd you see from your Storm on Sunday?
You know what? I love what I see out the Storm right now. And I kind of talked about this. I thought the Storm would be this team. And it was great to see him beat Jewel Lloyd on her return home. Sent her butt right back to Las Vegas where she belongs. Get her out of here. The Storm did give her a video tribute, and that was classy of them. But anytime you beat the Aces, who have beaten the Storm 7 straight times, that's a good win. And 20 points to hit the century mark on them, this is one of the best wins in recent memory, if you ask me.
Yeah, I was not very high on the Storm coming into the season. I thought they could be a playoff contender. I did not think they would. It seemed like last year they were sort of outclassed throughout the year against the top end teams. But Matt, you see, right? They just come in and just boat race one of the best teams in the league.
Well, and there's two sides of this. I can argue it both ways. Part of me wonders if the Aces are what they once were.
Right.
They just lost some continuity. Kelsey Plum's out. You bring in Jewel. She didn't have her best shooting that night or last season, which is kind of why I feel like the Storm struggled. But on the flip side, I don't know. You look at the Storm; they're a little long in the tooth, but they have bona fides. They've got NECA playing well. They've obviously got Ezzy, who's one of the younger ones on there. But I think the most encouraging thing was this was the first time we saw a game where Malanga logged some minutes, put in some buckets, and that's really my concern for the Storm this year. What does she look like throughout the whole year? We know she's a project. The ceiling is super high. This isn't the end-all, be-all year, but you need some youth to eat up some minutes because your core, your 3 stars, they are a little bit up there in age.
Well, and you meant that's really important. They've lost so many players due to injury over the offseason. Katie Lou Samuelson torn ACL, Nika Mule, Jordan Horston, all tore their ACLs. Jordan Horston, humongous piece in that rotation, and you don't have her this year. So you're right. It would be awesome if Dominique Malonga could come in, eat some minutes, and be effective. And, if she can be effective and come in and show that she can play at this level. You talk about her at 6'6". You talk about also playing NECA, also with Ezzy. You can just go, really big on that lineup and create a lot of matchup nightmares for other teams.
And that was one of the points I made when we talked about the Storm in the Storm preview on episode, I believe, 12, was that I love this team's size. And I think this size will give people problems. Now, you talked about some of the bench players and the starters being long in the tooth, but you had Erica Wheeler come off the bench with 21 points and 7 assists. And that's a bona fide starter on any other team. Erica Wheeler is a productive player. She's a great player in her own right. So I think the Storm has that chemistry. I think they have what it takes to be a great team in this league. They are a veteran-laden team, but I think that's great for it because this is a physical league. The WNBA, these are grown women. And in Malanga, if you kind of spoon feed her throughout the season, by the time the playoffs come, she'll be ready to contribute.
Yeah, you expect her role to grow throughout the season. I think I was definitely a little disappointed that she wasn't getting as many rotation minutes. Right. But then, I had to sort of do a reality check. What was I expecting from a 19-year-old coming into this league? But yeah, them blowing out the Aces, it was an awesome opportunity to get her some low pressure minutes, I feel like, and just sort of let her run the floor and play her game. The stars for the Storm are performing like stars. I mean, I think NECA and Skylar are about to turn 34. They don't look the part at all. They are playing like the prime versions of themselves. NECA 5th in the league in scoring at over 20 points a game. Skylar 2nd in assists at 8.8. I think only behind Caitlin Clark. And Gabby Williams. I mean, how awesome has she been? 5th in the league in steals at 2.3 a game. This Storm defense, top 3 in the league in points allowed. They're also forcing turnovers at an amazing clip. That's, you have the star power at the top, but that's where this team is built on the defensive side of the ball.
Yes.
And yeah, they were shooting the lights out against the Aces. They were forcing turnovers. They were running in transition. Erica Wheeler picking the pocket, Asia Wilson giving it down to Skylar Diggins, Dominique Malonga. Almost had a dunk. She had sort of fumbled the ball in transition there. But you see a lot of good things where, it's not just the Storm had a good shooting night from that performance against the Aces. They were also doing it on the defensive side of the ball as well.
Yes.
And you've seen that they have the ability to push the ball, too. Even if you go back to Unrivaled this year, Skylar, I know I just mentioned they're in the back half of their careers, but she was pushing the ball all throughout the offseason when you saw that, and you see that translate. And that really works on both ends of the floor.
Yes.
When you exhaust them on offense, it makes defense that much easier. That's when you can really put the clamps on folks.
And it's funny that you said that. As far as Skylar Diggins, she's leading the league in fast break points. I think with 8 a game. So to your point, Matt, I mean, she runs the floor. She's been great. I think last year she broke Sue Bird's single season record in assists, and she's on pace to break her own record this year. Skylar Diggins has been great for the Storm so far, and the leadership and grit she shows, I like that player. She's a dog.
Well, after the game, Noelle Quinn was talking about how big of a win it is, not only just getting the blowout win and some of the contributions from the team, but also beating a team like the Las Vegas Aces.
A lot of times the Aces are measuring sticks throughout the season because they're a well-oiled machine and have so much firepower at every position. To have a win like this early, it's good to grow from. Good to see that where we can be and who we can be against top teams in this league.
So that sort of raises the question for me: how much can we take from this one individual game? Does this shift where you guys see the Storm in the context of the league and how far they can go in the postseason and potentially compete for a title?
I think we can quickly figure it out this week. I mean,
yes.
You're now going to see the piece of Collier. Because
yes.
you just played what I would consider like the Tim Duncan of the WNBA, an eternal MVP in Asia Wilson, but Collier is right there, and she may end up being the MVP this year. So
should have got it last year.
Argument is valid. I could see if they hang with them, if they win, if they really just put up a fight, all of a sudden I start thinking the Storm are for real. I've always viewed them as a playoff team this year, but I really do think Tier 1 is reserved for Minnesota and Las Vegas.
Throw the Liberty in there.
I would throw the Liberty in there, sure, but that's it. That's Tier 1.
Yes.
Everybody else is Tier 2 or lower, and Storm, we're probably near the top of Tier 2, but this week will really let you know, are they the top of Tier 2?
Yes, and that would be a great week for them. I mean, Las Vegas Aces and then the Minnesota team. I've been high on this team since the beginning. I think this is championship ready. You got AC coming off the bench. You have veterans everywhere that's proven. I like this team's size. Gabby Williams can stop anybody on the court. I mean, you had Jewel Lloyd score the first 9 points of the game versus the Storm, and then she ends up with what, 12 or 13? 14 points. Mm-hmm. So, they put the fire extinguisher on her, Gabby Williams. And she has the size and the strength to match up against anybody. I like this team. I think I said they would be top 2 or 3, right there with the Aces and Minnesota and the Liberty. They're right there in the mix, I believe. I think this team can go.
I feel like, what I took away from this game is defensively. I mean, they did a really nice job on Asia Wilson and Jewel Lloyd. That's my biggest takeaway, what I think can be most sustainable throughout the entire season.
Yes.
Do I think they can finish above, those tier 1 teams that you mentioned, Matt. I don't really think throughout an entire regular season they have the depth of talent to be able to do that. I do think this performance shows me that in the playoffs they can hang with anybody.
And that's what matters.
Yeah, and that's what matters. They have the foundational piece of their defense that they're going to be able to rely on. They're not going to shoot 60% from the field in every game, and that's going to come and go. But if you can get stops and you can force turnovers and get out in transition, I feel like on any night you can beat anybody. So that I feel like is going to be the recipe for this team. They might not be as deep as some of those top tier teams, but defensively they can certainly hang with anybody.
Yes,
really.
Yes, and I must add, Nneka Ogwumike has been great this season so far. She's led this team. She's always been a leader, always been that veteran, but her play right now is out of this world. And I love what I see out of her. And she's leading this team. So, and then you have Skylar Diggins falling in place, Gabby Williams being, that extra help. And you have a bench with Wheeler as a veteran who started for Indiana just last year. And then you got Alicia Clark. I think she was in the starting lineup. She's in and out of the lineup. And Magbagor has yet to catch her pace.
That's a good point.
I mean, you still have improvements to make as far as the Storm, and I like this team. I think as the season goes on, you'll see this team get better and better.
Well, and specifically with Nneka, I mean, you just got to give her the ball and let her go to work. I mean, that jump shot in the post, the mid-range, she is absolutely automatic. And I feel like, last year with Jewel, not to make this about Jewel, but I feel like offensively they're going to be a better team without her in the lineup. And, it's tough to say given all that she's contributed to the Seattle Storm organization. But when you've got Nneka Ogwumike, former MVP, every single year she's an all-WNBA player, it starts with her domination on the offensive side of the ball, what she can do in the paint. And there are not a lot of people that can stop her. So get her the ball. They're doing that. She's 5th in the league in scoring. The Storm are going to go places if she's able to be aggressive on offense and stay in that rhythm, really. That's what I think. That's all for the Storm, I think, for now. Let's move on to the Mariners. They, tough series to end against the Houston Astros, but they do finish with a winning road trip of 6-4. They swept the Padres, talked about it last week, and then they win 2 out of 3 in some awful weather in Chicago. Tough not to get a sweep there, but I don't think you can really assume a sweep on the road against any team really in this league. The Astros series was tough. I sort of came away from the series, despite the series loss, feeling good about the Mariners' chances in the division because I see an Astros team that really does not have the star power that they've had in years past. And you had the 10-game lead in the division last year. You only have the 1.5-game lead right now. I feel better about the Mariners' odds right now against this Astros team because last year it was sort of, and Matt Calkins wrote an awesome column about this in Seattle Times. Last year you knew the Astros had gotten off to a slow start and they were going to come. And it was going to be whether Seattle could weather the storm.
It was going to walk them down.
Yeah. This year, it's like the Astros don't have Kyle Tucker. They don't have Alex Bregman. Yordan Alvarez is hurt. No timeline on his return, and he was having a down year before getting hurt. I see a team that you can beat in the division. I don't know what you guys think. Oh, come on, Matt.
This is where Lee Corso would go, not so fast, my friend.
Oh, Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
This is going to come down to the trade deadline,
yes.
in my opinion. The Mariners, historically, we know what they do. I don't see them adding to this team. What they get in additions will be starting pitching coming back, which will be a big boost. But what I see happening with the Astros is their pitching looks good. Hunter Brown throwing it better than anybody in the MLB right now, I think, like that. They have bona fide stars at the top end of their rotation. They can survive the back half. They may not have the same pitching staff, but they can go out there and buy a bat at the deadline. And
White Sox will.
Yes. I've already heard O'Hearn's name thrown around in the Orioles because the Orioles and the White Sox are going to have fire sales any day now. O'Hearn's one of the top batters this year, top 10 in average, 340 on the season, 8 home runs to go with it. And by the way, a left-handed bat that they sorely need. If you just plug him into that lineup, then all of a sudden the Astros scare the living tar out of me as a Mariner fan.
Yeah, and you still have Altuve. And, I mentioned, it's funny that you mentioned the trade deadline. I didn't even think of that. I just thought about history. And this Mariner teams give me PTSD. I mean, they get no benefit of the doubt. Every time they have any kind of sustained losing streak or lose any kind of game, I wonder if they're the same old Mariners. So with that being said, I know Houston is a great organization, and you can never count them out. And hopefully the Mariners are not overlooking them.
And I'm a little concerned that the Mariners may be doing almost too well. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but how many years have we heard all the fans just sign the bats, sign the bats, sign the bats? They give you a retread on a team-friendly deal, and then it doesn't work out.
Right.
Well, they felt like they did that again, and the bats came alive as soon as the season started. So it's almost like the better we do, the worse it is long run, because it's only teaching them the wrong lessons. They're not going to invest because this year it worked. And if they roll with that at the deadline, instead of adding a bat, oh man, that's going to break my heart.
Well, and at the you can already, when Victor Robles got hurt, people, on Twitter were saying you can already see it like, oh, well, we're not going to add it. Victor Robles is our, deadline acquisition. You can already see it. And Matt, that's a really good point. It's almost, you get the right answer in a math problem with using the wrong process, right? You sort of get lucky in a sense. If this Mariners offense is anything realistically of what we saw last year, which there's reasons to believe that it's not, with Cal Raleigh progressing as he has, Julio's had a better start to the year and is starting to find his form. But, I mean, there's, Jorge Polanco is absolutely cooling off. Dylan Moore coming back to earth a little bit. J.P. Crawford sort of off and on. So there's pieces of this offense that contributed to their success through the first 2 months to where you can absolutely see them slowing down. But despite, with the success, you could very easily see Jerry Dipoto being like, we know what this team is capable of. We don't need to add too much. And the Astros have the resources. Well, they are willing to use the resources to add. And they always do. When they're, the talk on sports radio, I heard it mentioned, even when they were, leading the division and clear World Series, favorites in the American League, they would still go out and add at the trade deadline. Yep. And that's not something the Mariners have always done. I will say something that is encouraging to me is the last year's trade deadline, they went out and got Justin Turner, Randy Arozarena, Jimmy Garcia. So I think there is not a lot of precedent, but because of last year, I do think I'm optimistic the Mariners will be willing to add. I specifically hope they add in the bullpen. I think they need some depth there, especially with Gregory Santos down. But yeah, I mean, if it turns into an arms race, the Astros are going to win. The good thing is the Astros are starting talent-wise a little bit more behind than they have the last couple of years. Losing Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman, those are two significant pieces. And Jose Altuve is not the guy that he's been in years past as well.
And the fact that they actually let Bregman go. I know they made like a last-ditch effort to go out and get him, but it did prove that they were willing to spend money still. And that's just one of the things. I will say, if I'm looking for a silver lining here, even if they don't get relievers, as they get guys coming back into the starting rotation, some of these guys can get bumped back, long relievers, add up some extra innings. And say what you will about all the injuries that they've had early on, but they've survived it because the guys who've been filling in have been good. So if they move into some relief positions and they can keep up that production, they might be okay.
No, it sounds like you just gave a eulogy for the Houston trash trolls, is what I call them. They only a game and a half back.
Yeah.
So with all that, lack of talent, they're right there with the Mariners, who are rolling right now. And, and of course, the pitching staff has been, a hurt for the Mariners, but the Astros will always be there. I just cannot count that team out regardless of who they have, just simply because of the organization. Now, as far as Dipoto and the organization's philosophy on picking up players at the deadline, even a broke clock is right twice a day. I mean, yes, it took you 10 years to hit this year. To finally win on that philosophy that we have these bats on journeyman, batting averages, picking people up off the scrap heap on team-friendly deals. So, no, that's not working. I want them to be a big-time team and go get the big bat that's out there. The question is, do that big bat want to come to the Mariners? That's the question.
Well, the good thing about getting them via trade is normally they don't have a choice unless it's a no trade clause situation, which I don't think they'd be going off, for somebody that high end with a no trade clause. But that's why trading has always worked for Dipoto or been the how they go about acquiring big players is they go through trade, because it is harder to attract players in free agency. I mean, which is why the lack of spending. I mean, there has to be some sort of tax for not being the only organization in Major League Baseball not to have made it to a World Series. There's a tax. There has to be. Like, you have to overspend to get people. You don't have history to rely on. You're not the New York Yankees.
And it's a crime. It is a crime because every year we get into that playoff stretch mode when it's make or break. Those last couple games of the season, this city is alive down at T-Mobile. And it's like, man, you're telling me you aren't going to make enough in ticket sales with one more guy added to this team? I'm just saying, like, please, this be the year. Don't make it a make or break. Will we or won't we make the playoffs? Just go bull rush the market, grab the best bat you can find available at the deadline. Let's up the ante.
Let me ask you this, Matt, real quick, a question that I had. Would you rather see a Seattle Mariners World Series or a Seahawks Super Bowl?
A Mariners World Series. You gotta want to see it for the very first time, right?
Yes.
Like, that's the thing. Like, we don't get me wrong. We know how electric the Seahawks winning a Super Bowl was, but boy, a World Series, that's just different, and you guarantee that you get to play home games.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, does that make this a baseball town?
Well, it always becomes a baseball town as soon as we're in the playoff stretch, which is why it hurts me so badly to see them not spend year after year, because I still remember my first year in Seattle. I'm 5+ years in here, and I remember missing out by the playoffs by like a game or two, and I remember we used to go to games, noon games, all the time, and then down the stretch, it was like, I looked around like, is this the same ballpark? Like, as soon as they just looked decent, everybody was out every single game.
Pack the house.
Yeah, and you just want to see that, because if they bring the right team, it'll be like that all season.
Well, and you just remember the atmosphere when they had that one playoff game in town against the Astros. There's really two games that went 18 innings. No runs were scored. But just how electric it was, and I mean, you're right, Matt. You don't even need the playoff game for fans to get excited about this ball club.
Just be close.
Just be close. DJ, you said I was giving a eulogy for the Astros. I wanted to wrap up my point. Matt ended his column with, this division is the Mariners to lose. And that's really how I feel. I think that's my main point, is the Mariners are in control of this division, it seems like. And this year, out of all of them, with how wide open it is, the Rangers have fallen off. The Angels and A's are not going to be a factor, I don't think. And the Astros take a step back with the talent. This is when you need to strike. This is when you need to do it. It's a bummer they weren't able to take the series on the back end of a 10-game road trip. Right. It just seems like the Astros are the most vulnerable they've ever been throughout this dynasty where they've been World Series favorites.
Yes, and as long as we have my favorite player right now, Brian Wu, who has been lights out.
Yes.
As long as you have him, you have a chance. Now, I just wanted to give him props and put his name in there and sneak his name in there, because Brian Wu has just had 10 straight starts where he's went 6 innings. So he's actually broke a Mariners record, or a set of Mariners records since, 2010. I think Cliff Lee did it, and he did 13. He was an all-star that year. So you have Brian Wu, who is in the Cy Young race, I believe. It's early, but I believe he's in that race, and he's definitely an all-star. And what I want to say is, I hope he doesn't step back when Logan Gilbert returns, when George Kirby comes back to form. I want to still see the same Brian Wu that we've seen all season, who takes that ball and takes it deep into the game and has been lights out. Props to Brian Wu, man. Congratulations.
My question, thank you for bringing up the rotation. I wanted to ask, with Logan Gilbert hopefully on his way back soon, same with Bryce Miller, do you think about going to a 6-man rotation with how good Emerson Hancock and Logan Evans have been for this team? Or do you stick with your 5?
I'd rather see them stick with their 5 and stretch out that relief pitching staff. I mean, because that's just one more person you can backfill in, rather than go after that in free agency or at the trade deadline. Like, just put them in the bullpen. Like,
And the thing about it is, I agree in a sense, but this has been a showcase. Emerson Hancock and Logan Evans, that's that bat you talk about.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, you can't be afraid to let go an asset. If you want to get a good player, you got to give up good players. Now, Emerson Hancock and Logan Evans have proven themselves to be serviceable starters. Why not go get a bat with that? So for me, this is just a showcase to get better down the line. And with those improvements we just talked about. So I go back to a 5-man rotation, the odd man out. Hey, nice to meet you.
Wasn't that long ago we were talking about trading one of the starting 5 for a bat just last year in the offseason. So if all of a sudden you've got somebody playing their way into that conversation, hey, I don't hate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the reason I bring it up, I sort of see some merit to a 6-man rotation just because you've got Bryce Miller, who starting out the year, he was not bouncing back physically from start. You give him an extra day. Logan Gilbert, hopefully his elbow isn't like a long-term thing, but you give him an extra day of rest. George Kirby working his way back. I think it makes sense in the short term, maybe for a month, get you to the All-Star break, to keep an in-form Emerson Hancock, Logan Evans in the rotation. I mean, if you move them to the bullpen, I don't hate the idea. I just feel like having them switch back and forth, that can really mess up with a pitcher's rhythm to the point where you would have less value in a trade if you move them into the bullpen. But if you need them to make a spot start, they're not used to that routine. Maybe they don't perform as well. They get out of sync or something. So it's a good problem to have at the end of the day. You've got 7 quality starting pitchers. When coming into the season, you knew you had 5. You didn't really know what you had past then, and now you've got 7. That was a big question coming in with starting pitching rotation depth. One of the reasons they didn't give up one of their young starters for a bat.
Yes, because they had so much luck in recent history with their starters remaining healthy. And now this is what people saw. They had their fingers crossed for the last 3 or 4 years. When will one of these starters go down? They went down, and you had other pitchers pick it up. And great, Logan Evans and Emerson Hancock have been a godsend to the Mariners. They basically saved this early season so far. But on that note, I agree with you. Go with the 6-man to work those pitchers back. But these pitchers are horses. Like, they need their innings eventually. Like, Gilbert, he's a bona fide Cy Young candidate. Logan Gilbert, he's an ace. They need their innings, eventually. So the 6-man rotation might work to work them back in, but eventually I think you need to go to a 5-man and the odd man out. Like I said, DePoto, do your job.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you absolutely need to make your way back to a 5-man rotation down the stretch of the season. Another guy, Brian Wu, has never had this big of a workload in his entire MLB career.
Right.
You saw Logan Gilbert throw the most innings out of any pitcher last season. He goes down with some sort of arm injury this year. I think they rely so much on their rotation, last year, the year before. And it seems like it's sort of starting to catch up to them a little bit. Yeah. I don't mind them giving guys an extra day of rest. But to your point of the 5-man rotation, it's one extra day that, you don't have Logan Gilbert pitching or you don't have George Kirby. Would you rather have an extra start or 2 throughout the year of Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, the top-end guys, or while giving Logan Evans and Emerson Hancock respect to them, they pitched well, but they're not Logan Gilbert, George Kirby. So it is a double. I see both sides to the argument. What I would like to see them do is go to a 6-man rotation in the short term. After the All-Star break, you can go back down to that 5-man rotation, get them into the rhythm of the season. All right, well, let's switch gears. Let's talk some Sounders. They've been playing some really good soccer as of late. A big gritty win over the weekend, getting Dallas at home 1-0. They didn't play their best soccer, but they did enough to win at home. And then coming into this week, tomorrow, they take on San Diego FC, who is in second place. Sounders just 4 points behind them. It was San Diego that absolutely dominated the Sounders 3-0 on the road at San Diego at the beginning of April. But that's what started this big stretch of 5 wins in 8 matches. The Sounders are 5-2-1 since that loss to San Diego. Revenge hopefully on the table. You can show San Diego the kind of team that the Sounders really are.
Well, and they've protected Lumen really well so far this season. I mean, if nothing else, you're going to get a draw out of them. I mean, I just feel like that's the way they're playing on the field. Like that's the beauty of the Sounders right now. You want a team that can protect home, and they're doing it.
Right, but you know what? I don't want to draw. I want to get my lick back. We need a win, Sounders.
We beat them 6-0.
Yeah, we need to get
Double
that
it.
back. We need to double them up. And that's just the type of player I am. That's the type of coach I am. And that's the kind of team I want. We need to get our lick back.
Well, and
That's
Brian Schmetzer's talked about how important it is to protect home field. And in soccer, just how important that is in general. If you're not winning, if you're not getting maximum value out of your home matches, it's so hard to win on the road.
Yes.
It's just too big of a hole to dig out of. And that's what they talked about last year. They weren't as good at making Lumen Field, feel like they're more invincible like they were in previous years. I mean, 5-6 years ago with the sort of old regime of star players in that old core, the Clint Dempseys and the Obafemi Martins, it felt like they would never lose at home. They're scoring goals, they're having fun, they're pressing. I mean, and it's the same core of the coaching staff and everything. It's just felt different the last couple of years, but this year, it feels like, unbeaten at home, and you just have that extra aura of confidence when some other team comes in. It's like, we got this. Like, we've done it before. We're going to be able to get a result here.
I'm sorry, Matt, and with that being said, I must give a shout out to Stephen Fry. I called him out at the beginning of the season. I said he didn't look like himself, and guess what? He responded, and he just participated in his 400th match with the Sounders. One of the best goalkeepers ever. I think it's not even a contest. He's the best goalkeeper in Sounders history, if you ask me. So
he's one of the best in MLS history.
Right, in MLS, and he's been, another clean sheet. What more can you say about this guy? He's been doing it for a long time, and he continues to be successful.
I was just going to mention that as excited as we all are about protecting home, I am looking ahead to the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
I just want to remind people who everybody's playing, and goal differential will matter. So there will be some high-scoring games, and people are going to be looking to take heads in all those matchups. So that's one that I'm looking ahead. I'm like, there's going to be a lot of goals in Lumen Field, and hopefully they're coming from us and not against us. Because that's the thing. Goal differential is going to matter, and you're going to have European clubs coming in to Lumen Field, and they're going to be looking to score 10.
They're not just trying to get a win. They're trying to win. Yeah, they're trying to win by 10.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So the Sounders have 2 more matches this week before the Club World Cup. They welcome Botafogo for their first opening game. Man, how tough of a challenge is it for Brian Schmetzer to keep these guys focused on these 2 league games with PSG and Atletico Madrid coming in? PSG on Saturday is playing in the Champions League final. And you've got to keep your team focused for San Diego FC. I mean, it's like, how tough of a challenge is that for Brian Schmetzer?
I don't think it's a tough challenge at all because you're a deep team. And you have players that haven't played all season. I mean, Georgie Manugo, he wants his minutes. So you put him out there against the San Diego, he's going to show up. So you had a deep enough squad, a deep enough roster to where, yes, those top flight players might be overlooking these 2 opponents, but those hungry players on that bench, they're going to show up for the Sounders. I feel good about this team.
But I will say, I hat-tipped Brian Schmetzer, though, because I do think, as hungry as some players are, keeping them focused, and because this stretch has been so important to get them just skyrocketing up the standings. If it weren't for this stretch, we would be having a very different conversation right now, and you're confident they could still get more wins in the column between now and when that Club World Cup kicks off. So, boy, it is a good job by him, not only getting the turnaround, not only going from a 3-0 drubbing to, us talking about, now we're going to get the win when they come here. That's a heck of a coaching job.
And let me just add, this is why they pay you the big bucks.
Yep.
Plain
Absolutely.
and
I misspoke earlier. I said they have 2 games. They have 3. So it's San Diego FC tomorrow. They've got Minnesota after that on Sunday, and then the Sunday after that, Vancouver. Then they can start focusing on Club World Cup. So it's coming up, but there's some important league games here that you want to take advantage of. The next 2 at home, so you want to take advantage of that. Let's move on. We've got some what's trending. As you know, the NFL unanimously approved NFL players to play flag football in the upcoming Olympics. D-Jack, I'll let you set it all up. You've got some opinions on it.
I mean, first of all, they not only voted to let the NFL players, play flag football, but let me first go to another subject. They decided that they wanted to keep the tush push in the game.
Yes.
And I just wanted to know what you guys thought, because I think the Seahawks actually voted to eliminate it from the game.
Yep.
And that's disappointing. I mean, come on, Seahawks. Like, you don't represent me if you voting like that. I mean, like, we like to beat people on the field, not in the courtroom or in the mediation room and all that stuff. So I'm John Schneider. I'm disappointed in you. All right, don't do that again if you represent Seattle. We don't do that. All right, we don't cry about a play that we can't stop. So with that being said, I love the tush push. I think it should stay in the NFL. Don't cry over a play that a team has perfected and you can't stop. Just learn to stop it. What you think about that, man?
I mean, here's the thing. Like, it's competition and it's legal. Why not do it? I don't feel like we need to rewrite the rule book. The NFL has already litigated more than enough. We got to the point a couple years back where we didn't even know what a catch was anymore. Why do this? If you want to beat a team, find a nose tackle that can line up against that center and just shove them all backwards. I get that there's a team that can do it, but it's only successful till it's not. We've seen some of the best teams line up on 4th and inches and still get stuffed this way, even the teams that we know are the best. I saw Josh Allen get stuffed on one of these last year. Like, it's possible to stop it. Work to do it.
I think I don't really care. I think I see both sides of the coin. You know, you got to line up and you got to stop it. I will say it's funny that all of the teams that voted to keep the tush push in don't have to play the Eagles this year. I thought that was funny. So they don't have to stop it this year.
Yeah.
But I feel like from an entertainment standpoint, and that's part of the NFL's job, is to put the most entertaining product on the field. It's not very entertaining when the Eagles line up on 3rd and 1. I can just turn the TV off for 45 seconds, and I know they're going to have a 1st and 10. And it's not a fun play to watch. I would much rather, either a traditional quarterback sneak where you can't push the player. Getting rid of the tush push wouldn't eliminate the quarterback sneak. It would eliminate pushing the ball carrier across, forward with forward progress, which there's an argument to be made there that that's not football. Like, you should have to move the guy off the line of scrimmage, not forcefully push the ball carrier, in my opinion. And I just don't really think it's a football play. It's more rugby to me. And there's a distinction between those two sports. I'd much rather see teams have to, run it up the gut on 3rd and 4th and short, or run play action, get creative in the pass game. I'd much rather see that as a fan with my entertainment watching the sport than watching the tush push. But the Eagles are really the only team that have perfected the play. So it really doesn't really make that big of a difference to the entire league.
And I think they said is 0.3% of the plays. I mean, it's not even a
very,
big part.
It's
very rare that they actually run the play in the grand scheme of things when you add up all the plays. And they do it the best. So why attack that team by voting it out of the game? I just don't like that part of it. Now, as far as it being rugby and all that, and you being able to push the other player, I get that. I think it's a valid argument in that, being able to push the quarterback. But I just don't like crying or kind of complaining because a team does it so well and you can't stop it on the field, so you want to litigate it. I mean, it's just so America.
Well, and my last thoughts on it, don't allow 4th and inches. Don't allow 4th and 1. We've added enough statistics into the game where we now know it's a smart play to go for these so often. So as a fan, when I'm watching my defense out there and I see somebody on a 3rd down get 5 yards when it's 3rd and 6, I'm mad at my defense because you just set them up for that play. So just get them early in the downs.
Stop them. That's it.
I feel like the game is so catered to the offense that allowing this play, which, to get an inch, if you've got 3 dudes pushing the ball carrier on top of your offensive line, it makes it a lot harder on defenses. And I mean, stop it, but it's a hard play to stop. I mean, you can run fake snap count off of that, draw dudes off sides, there's a lot of stuff that you can do. But the Eagles are really the only team. I think my opinion is if the tush push gets popularized across the entire league and it's effective and everyone's running it, take it out of the game. I don't want to see it. But because it's only the Eagles and they're the only team that can do it well, I don't think it affects the game as a whole enough for me, entertainment-wise. I feel very strongly about that, to where it's worth taking it out. For now, I like it. See if the defenses can adjust.
Yep. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to this flag football.
Yeah.
Right. What's trending with flag football? Now it'll be in the 2028 LA Olympic Games, and the NFL has voted to allow their players. Now, from what I understand, one player from each country from each team.
Yes.
So if you have a player from the U.S. and Canada, you can have 2 players on that team represent their country. So it's a cap on the limit of players that can play. Also, the game is going to be 5-on-5. You know, my whole thing about it is that the flag football is a separate entity, and they actually 4-time world champions. They have won the last 4. And so now the NFL, big bro, come in and want to say, all right, time to sit down. You know, and their argument is that, hey, this is our game. We grew this game. We built this game, blood, sweat, and tears, and now you want to come and take over. And I have to agree, Ethan. I don't like the NFL players taking over this flag football. I know you are in disagreement with that, but talk about what you think.
I just don't. I mean, you're gonna let this flag football quarterback. Do you remember his name?
His name is Daryl Doucette.
Daryl Doucette.
He's a goat.
All respect to him and his first world championship.
Put some respect on whose name.
I'm sorry.
No,
all respect to him. No. I'll be cordial about. This.
Simmer down.
I was sort of ripping him off camera, but all respect to his 4 world championships. Patrick Mahomes is going to do a better job at quarterback than Daryl Doucette. I mean, these flag football players, they have grown the sport immensely. There's a reason they're playing flag football and didn't go further in their professional football careers. Like, they're not as good of football players than the most elite athletes in the entire world. Patrick Mahomes can throw the ball better than anyone in NFL history. Your Tyreek Hills, your Justin Jeffersons, like all these skill position players, which there is a litany of them across the entire league. I mean, it is one of the deepest position groups right now in the game and across history, those wide receivers, which is what you're going to be relying on in the format. There's just not space for those guys that have grown the sport, and it sucks, but you want to send the best talent you can to the Olympics, right? You want to see the best competitors compete.
I feel like I'm okay with them getting pushed out if there's an open competition.
Yes.
That's where my middle ground, because I'm with you. I think that the NFL players are going to be better, because you can't tell me that 4 guys running a route for a quarterback, that an NFL quarterback, or it's going to be like, wow, this is so different. No, it's 4 guys running routes. Like, they can handle that. It's a different field. There's a lot of different things that happen in the game. Obviously, there's no tackling. To me, if you get a bunch of corners and safeties on that field and they just want to zip around and they want to be athletic, heck, I don't even know if NFL players would be the best. We didn't talk about this before the show because you were asking me who I would want to be.
Right.
What if you threw in a Giannis? And just let him go up and just grab that ball. I mean, there are athletes all across the world that could just fit into this sport, and the only reason they've never played it is because there's no glory, there's no money, there's no ability. And I understand some people have grown it, but also we're still talking 3 years away, and these guys are all going to be older. I don't even know if they're going to be the ones that would be competing.
All right, now it's funny that you said that because Ethan and I just had the same conversation. And I asked him who his number 1 pick would be, and one of my number 1 picks would be LeBron James.
Yep.
Definitely on the same ilk of Giannis. Just throw it up and let him go get it. He's an athlete, a world-class athlete. He's not getting tackled. So I agree with you in that sense. Now, make no mistake, these flag football players are world-class athletes, though. Now, I understand they're not in the NFL, but this place is littered with athletes that didn't make it to the highest level, but are just as good. I mean, maybe they had circumstances where, they got in trouble. It just didn't go their way. They didn't like school. Whatever the reason may be, there are athletes, world-class athletes that are not in the pros. Trust me on that. So I'm not going to say, all right, just because they didn't make it to the NFL, they're not good enough. And I agree with you also about the open trials. As long as you get a chance, I think it's fair. But I just don't like the feeling of it. I just don't like the feeling of the NFL being big bro, coming in and kind of patting them on the head and like, hey, it's time to move over, And is this about the Olympics or is this about the NFL? I posed a question to Ethan. It's about the world domination of the NFL. And they want to dominate this game. The international games are said to be going up to, 18 a season? That's just too much. I mean, NFL, you're doing too much.
I mean, I think expanding team-wise to, Europe and stuff like that, that feels a little excessive to me, specifically if teams from America during the regular season got to go play a team in Europe, or Europeans got to come over here. That feels a lot to me. But I mean, the basketball has grown so much since the Dream Team as well, and you see how much it's flourished internationally. You've got international superstars like Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic and Dirk Nowitzki and the like, Victor Wembanyama. Like, the same thing could happen for football potentially.
No.
If it grows.
No, because basketball has always been a worldwide game. They always play. This is called American football. Now, if you go over to Europe and say football, they're going to pull out a soccer ball.
Yeah.
So that tells you this is our game. This is an American game. And I'm not saying it can't grow. Of course it can grow if you force feed it. And that's what I think the NFL is doing. This is not natural. This is not a natural progression to the world. This is forcing yourself on the world. And I don't like the reasons. I don't like the world domination of the NFL. I just don't like it. I think they're doing too much. They're going to end up jumping the shark because I think less is more.
And I will say this, if we're all just being honest with ourselves of what it's going to take to win a gold, if that's the end goal here is to win a gold, they're not going to have to send their best players. In all reality, because
they're four-time world champions already and dominating the flag world already without NFL players. So you're definitely right about that. They don't need NFL, so why step in, NFL?
I don't think Poland is coming into. I don't think
Canada's not set enough to compete.
Somebody in Poland right now.
Yeah,
we got him.
I think it's going to be wildly entertaining. You asked who about number one pick.
Yes. Who will be your number one?
It's a really
pick?
interesting question.
Yes.
I mean, for me, it's Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
I think Tyreek Hill. Matt, you brought up a good point.
3
when
more
we were
years
talking about
out.
It's 3 years out. I wasn't really thinking about that. If we're talking about
Right
athletes
now.
today, his speed, I just think on that open field, you're not getting press coverage pushed at the line of scrimmage. Like, you can just run by guys. I mean, Tyreek Hill is just a different level of athlete, one of the fastest guys in NFL history. Get him on that field, give him a little bubble screen, and just watch him just run by everyone. So that would be my number one.
Who you got, Matt?
I was going to say Amon-Ra. I grew up a Lions fan, so I was going to say him. But you brought up Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think that's right on the money. Because you just need somebody fast, shifty, and the ability. But does anybody else do you guys remember NFL Blitz? I feel like we're dreamcasting for NFL Blitz. We're just picking random names. Like, this guy's a center, but he'll play D tackle. It's just going to be wide receivers, running backs, and corners all day.
And if it's my number one pick, it's Lamar Jackson all the way. I mean, who's more shiftier, who's faster, and he can throw the ball. So Lamar would definitely be the overall number one pick for flag football.
Well, what if you go a 2-quarterback system? Because the quarterback can't run, but what if you get Mahomes and Lamar on the roster? You line Lamar up at wide receiver or something. Patrick Mahomes backwards pass to Lamar.
Snapped to every time?
Literally, there'd be a lot of fun stuff that you could do with Lamar Jackson.
Right.
Kyler Murray could also be a fun option just with how mobile of a quarterback he is. Let's move on. Should we do some top 5 dead or alive?
Top 5 dead or alive. You've been waiting.
We've got most hated teams. A personal list. All 3 of us made lists.
Yes.
Most hated teams for us personally. Matt, you're our guest. I'd love for you to go first.
Am I going 5 to 1 or 1 to 5?
Let's go 5 to 1.
Okay.
5-1.
Yeah.
I actually had to write this down because I was going to get the order wrong, and then my hatred wouldn't be accurately portrayed.
I got mine written down also. So.
All right, so number 5. I
So
might be breaking
context,
the rules.
you're from Michigan.
I'm from Michigan, born and raised in Flint, so about an hour outside of Detroit, and I worked in Detroit before I came here. Now, I'm never going back. Seattle is now home. And so I will say honorable mentions. I was going to put in the Portland Timbers as an honorable mention.
Yes.
But we do have a Seattle connection in here because I did always watch the glove. So, we have that's a spoiler already.
All right.
Number 5, the Edina Hawks.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys remember Mighty Ducks.
I have no idea who that is.
The Mighty Ducks, the TV movie. I know
Okay,
it's not
yeah.
real world, but
You hate them?
Jack Riley was telling them to take out knees in a kids movie. If you don't hate this man, what are we doing?
Right?
Now, I promise you the other 4 are all real-life teams, but I had to get my Hawks take off because Jack Riley, don't be putting all that on Coach Bombay. He looked at him as a child and said, hey, you're letting down your entire team if you don't score this goal. And then 20 years later, he's telling them to take out the knees of his star player. Trash. They make the list.
I love
So Matt done made top 5 dead or alive a therapy session. He had to get that off his chest, y'all.
This
All
many
right.
years just pent up frustration.
man.
Yeah.
How is this a kids movie?
Let
That's
it go,
crazy.
Matt. Let it go.
All right, number 4.
4.
OKC. Get out of it. You cannot take a team away. And I grew up in Detroit, so I was a Pistons fan, right? And the Pistons were god-awful for so much of my childhood. So I didn't want to root for the Lakers. I didn't want to root for the Knicks. These are too flashy. Like, I was a Sonics fan. And I remember sitting in my driveway doing the behind-the-back shot in a layup because I saw it one time, which was probably a freak play by Gary Payton. But I was reliving that moment for the next 3 years of my life.
Yeah.
The idea that they're not here angers me so much, but I don't want them back, right? Like, it's at the point now where it's like, okay, see, you keep that team dead to me. I'm sick of this. Like, they are most hated. Number 3, Yankees. Who amongst us does not hate the Yankees?
God.
It's just painful to watch them. They've just owned the sport for too long, and they spent their way to it.
Right. Well, that's something I never got about Seattle. Why did they hate the Yankees? Because there's levels to this. Seattle, let me tell you right now, you never was close to the Yankees. So it's never been a rivalry. You've never been close. You've never even been to a World Series. So what's the hate about
It's
the Yankees?
partially
Like,
jealousy.
Come on, man.
It's
Exactly.
partially- you
That's
just
not
hate who is
hate.
at the top.
That's hating. You're a hater. That's what that is. That's, So, all right, go ahead, man. I'm going to let you go, though.
the
But I just
hatred-
had to get that off my chest. What is the hate about the Yankees?
I
Because
tell
they're
you-
a winner?
I tell you what
stop.
it is. It is the unfairness of us, and it's the LA Dodgers now. It's the idea that your pockets are so deep, and we have no way to litigate this, that you get to buy your way to a championship. Now, I have my qualms and feelings about the Mariners and my Tigers that I grew up watching. Like, why don't you spend more? You could
Right.
spend more. I could go on.
Exactly.
I could give you an hour dialogue on that right now. I won't do that to you.
But the Mariners were owned by Nintendo. You can't get deeper pockets than that. When
They
the
were
Yankees
they were not content.
When the Yankees were winning, the Mariners were owned by Nintendo.
They were not invested.
all
They were in Japan.
We
the
all
owners
had
were
that
not
game
local.
console right there. You can't get deeper pockets than that. But go ahead, move on.
Number 2, the Colorado Avalanche.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
The most hated team as a Detroit fan, because I grew up on the Red Wings and they were our team. They won the Stanley Cup. They probably were the Yankees of the NHL when I was growing up. And the Avalanche were the most hated team. And I think you have some video.
I
of
do have
this.
some video.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
sorry
gotta see
sorry
this.
if you watched it on audio,
Yes, we gotta see
but I
this.
was not aware of this. But Matt, I would love for you to give the context.
All right, so this is 1997, and the year before, Chris Draper had his face broken in like 7 places. Orbital bone broke open. So this is the next season. There's Darren McCarty beating the bejesus out of Claude Lemieux, punching him in the face. And it's just, I think there were 9 fights in this game, and it basically just went on for like 20, 30 minutes.
Fight night at the Joe.
And the greatest part about this is it's right here. The goalies came out. You had Patrick Waugh and Mike Vernon trading blows, bloody faces at the end of it.
Ooh.
This wasn't even a hockey game. This was a fight where hockey just happened to be played around. But this was the hatred that we had for the Avalanche. Detroit and Colorado. I even have a friend who's still a Colorado Avalanche fan to this day, and it's just because he was like the anti-whatever you were.
Yeah.
And it just still grinds people. Blood on the ice. This was a mess. Everybody was thrown. Like this is the Palace and the Malice on roids.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
so did the hate culminate in the fight, or is the hate
From
did
the
the fight
fight.
happen and then the hatred came after that?
The hatred was already there.
Gotcha.
So Patrick Waugh kind of already hated the Red Wings. They scored 11 goals on them a couple years before this, and
Yeah.
basically precipitated his trade to the Avalanche. Then the Avalanche take the Red Wings out in the playoffs, and in the process, elbow, orbital bone broken, and then it just was like this for years.
Wow. That's awesome. That is awesome.
You know how some kids keep newspaper clippings of their favorite championships and all
Yeah,
the thing?
yeah.
I kept the clipping of Patrick Waugh's bloody face.
Wow. Matt, you sound like you want to fight.
Get on the ice. Yeah.
And I'll just point out, that's not even my number one.
Wow.
All right, what's
Yeah.
your number one?
What do we got?
Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'm a Michigan fan. I do love Big Ten, so I'll root for pretty much anybody Big Ten. It's been wonderful having Washington join the Big Ten. I know people have some feelings about that, but I love the fact that I now get to watch Washington and I get to watch Michigan all through Big Ten. But there's one team, the Big Ten, I can never root for. I will root for anybody against them, and that's Ohio State.
Wow. Yeah,
fair.
that is an incredible list. I appreciate it. I appreciate the insight as someone that's not from Seattle.
Right.
'Cause me and D-Jack, I feel like, are going to have some similar teams as well.
You know, as far and let me go ahead and I'll go. Ethan.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna be quick with my list. You know, number 5, the Indianapolis Colts. When I was a kid, I lived in Baltimore, born and raised, and they took our team. They took the Colts from Baltimore.
yeah.
So I hate the Colts.
That's how I got.
And I hate Indianapolis. All right. Number 4, the Houston Trastros. That's what they call it around here. We all know about the garbage can. I'm gonna move on. All right, they're cheaters. All right. Number 3, a team that I think is actually overtaking the Niners as our rival, and that's the LA Rams. And even ever since Jeff Fisher was the coach, they seem to have our number.
Yeah.
Especially with Sean McVay. I mean, he's outcoached us the last 5 years or so. So the LA Rams, I hate them. They always have our number. They don't always have the best team, but they always seem to beat the Seattle Seahawks when they need to. All right, number 2, the New England Patriots. And it's just one word, Belichick. He was so snide and pompous, and he got a chance to do that because they won games. The minute they lost, kick rocks. They got him out of there. Belichick, I hated him, and of course the interception in the Super Bowl, Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
We don't even want to talk about that.
I don't got video of that.
Yeah,
I did
don't
not put
wanna
video
talk
of that
about
in the system.
But that's number 2, New England Patriots. I hate them. All right. Number 1, and I refuse to say that name, the Zombie Sonics. And we all know what that's about. They stole our team, and guess what? They're up 3-1 right now in the Western Conference Finals and are the favorites to win the NBA championship, and I hate them. I hate them. The Zombie Sonics, bring back our Sonics.
Bring back our Sonics. I love it. Thank you for the list. It's a great list.
Hot 5, dead or alive.
I'll go next. I got some similar teams. Number 5, I also put the Rams. The Rams, for me, they only make this list more out of respect because it doesn't matter if they have more talent than the Seahawks. They always play us tough. It's more of like I hate to play them more so than I hate them as a team.
I hate them. Can't stand
This is my list now, DJ.
Go.
It's more of a respect because they're just a great team. I just absolutely hate playing against them. But they're number 5 lower on my list because I don't exactly hate Sean McVay and their cast of crew. Number 4, the Timbers. Thank you for bringing them up, Matt.
Yes.
I hate the Timbers.
All right,
Oh my God! I got friends in Portland who like to talk trash. My roommate in college at Gonzaga was from Portland, and it just goes back and forth. He's one of my best friends, but just going back and forth. Ben, if you're listening, I hate your soccer team. Number 3, the 49ers, the San Francisco 49ers. Man, their fan base just pisses me off.
Obnoxious.
They're always whining about something. They think they're entitled to the division every single year. Last year was an anomaly because all the injuries. You know, I cannot stand them. Going back to the LOB days, which is what I grew up on, was very influential in my adolescence, and just that rivalry. I mean, it was pure hatred. And then, you know, Richard Sherman, John at Curtis Crabtree.
Sorry, Crabtree.
Yeah, sorry, receiver. I hate the Niners. Number 2, the New York Yankees. I cannot stand the New York Yankees. 27. They are everything that the Mariners are. 27 rings, payroll through the roof every single year. One of my buddies, a different Ben from my roommate, big Yankees fan. Ben, if you're listening, I cannot talk baseball with you. I'm sorry. It's really hard to talk baseball with a Yankees fan because I'm explaining the Mariners just don't have a lot of payroll. They need bats. They not get them. Why don't you just go spend money in free agency, dude? They're not gonna do that. He just doesn't get it.
They can hand out 10-year contracts like candy. It's just a different game.
He just does not. The Yankee fans just do not get it. Also, my girlfriend, Margot, bless her heart, really loves the Yankees logo. She wants to get a Yankees hat. It's really, their brand is so iconic that it's like a fashion statement.
Yes.
Non-Yankee fans wear Yankee hats. Ugh.
Yes.
And as a I'm not allowing her to get. I cannot be seen next to her in a Yankee hat. Absolutely
That's the
not.
same girlfriend you sat there and watch tape of Nick in the Warriors. She did that, and you won't let her get a name.
Absolutely.
I'm fighting for you. I'm fighting for you. Get your Yankees
She
hat.
loved it. I got to get her educated. I don't know.
Okay, all right.
Number one, the Astros. The Astros. It's not close. The cheaters, the trash cans, they're dirty. 2022, plunking Dylan, or no, this wasn't 2022, but a few years back, Dylan Moore hits a go-ahead grand slam in the 8th inning. They plunk the next guy after them, just doing that. Hector Neris yelling a slur at Julio, starting a brawl. I mean, they're just always starting stuff. And then, if we accidentally hit one of their guys, they're saying, "Oh, it was intentional." The Mariners always hit They're the bad guys. Don't ever get it twisted. They are the evil empire of the American League West. I mean, I don't know anybody that likes the Astros unless you're a diehard Houston fan and you can justify the fact that you cheated yourself to a ring.
And
that's my top 5
quick
list.
correction. They're the Trastros.
Trastros.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get it
Yeah.
straight. I hate them too.
That's all we got for today's episode. Matt, thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate
we really
it.
appreciate it.
It's been a lot of fun.
Had a lot of fun. Catch us every Tuesday. Every Tuesday you can find us new episodes wherever you get your podcast, also on video, YouTube, and the Fox Local app. Matt, thanks for coming on. For Matt, for DJ, for myself, we'll see you next time on The Sidelines. Let's go!
On the Sidelines is available wherever you get your podcast.